Hi everyone, my name is Chandra Hartman and I'm an herbalist. I'm also the owner of Wildroot Coffee and Apothecary and Longleaf Pine Exchange. Today I want to talk about something that I get asked about a lot, and that's how to make tinctures. I recently sent out a little survey and asked you guys what you wanted me to do some videos of, and that was the top one that came back. So we're going to get into it today, and I'm going to make a tincture of shepherd's purse. And we're going to do what's called a folk method. Now, I actually make my tinctures a different way for my customers, and I'm going to show you that in another video. But today we're going to start with something very simple, very basic, anybody can do in their own kitchen. So as I mentioned before, I'm going to be making a tincture of what's called shepherd's purse. The Latin name for that is Capsella bursa pastoris. Shepherd's purse is a really good herb to have on hand. In Chinese medicine, it actually falls in two different categories. So it's in the stabilize and bind category, which you can think of as an astringent, and then it's also in the blood regulating category, which would be, in Western herbs, are hemostatics. So as you can see, with being an astringent and a hemostatic, this is going to strongly stop things that you want to stop from happening. Like, for example, bleeding, diarrhea, and urination. This is how I made tinctures for years before I started making them at my shop. We're gonna make it inside of one of these size mason jars. I think this is 16 ounces. I'm gonna use the alcohol that I typically use, which is a corn-free organic cane alcohol, but you can use any kind of alcohol that's at least 80 proof, which means that it's 40% alcohol. So I actually have some vodka on hand that's 100 proof, and I have some brandy. Brandy is typically 80 proof. So you can use any kind of alcohol that you like. So let's get into it. Hey everyone, I'm back, but I'm on the other side of the bar. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to make a folk method of tincture with using dry herb. And the herb that I'm just so happen to be using today is going to be shepherd's purse. Why they call it a folk method is because it's just a very simple, old-fashioned way of making tinctures. There's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly fine. Lots of people still make tinctures this way. This is a great method for the family herbalist to use. So all you're going to need is a 16-ounce mason jar, but you could use a smaller mason jar or a larger mason jar depending on how much tincture you want to make. We have our dry herb. You don't have to measure any of this stuff out. I have my alcohol that I'm going to be using. And this is just an example of some of the alcohol you could use. So this is just a vodka. It's 100 proof. That means that it's 50% alcohol. You want to use a minimum of 80 proof alcohol when you're doing tinctures at home with dry herbs. It's going to be different if you're using fresh herbs. So let's get to it. So we're just going to take our mason jar. I have this handy dandy little canning tool I like to use. And we're just going to put the herb right inside the jar. We're only going to fill it halfway. This is a little bit more than half, so I'm going to take some of that out. So you're only going to fill it halfway. And the reason being is because the water is going to absorb, or the herb is going to absorb the alcohol and it's going to expand. So when you're using fresh herbs, it's a little bit different. So we're just going to pour our alcohol in here. I like to leave a little bit of room at the top. I have to go find my lid. Hold on. And we just put the lid on there. I like to give it a nice little shake. And that's it. That's all you're going to do. You're going to leave this sit for about 4 to 6 weeks. And then you're going to strain it out and then you're going to have what's left will be your tincture. And you can just take the herb. I like to put it back into the garden, you know, just compost it or throw it away. I do like to just send the herbs back to the earth. But the liquid that remains is called the menstruum, and that's your tincture. So yeah, we're going to give this 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. Keep it out of the sun, keep it in a shady part on your pantry, and just give it a little shake every day. And you're going to have a beautiful little tincture at the end. All right, that's it.